The first person that I cannot stop drafting is Tyrone Tracy Jr. whenever I get a chance to draft him. I know all of the Cam Scatterboo hype. I've heard it. I appreciate it. I love it. I love Scat. Scat is one of those guys that's like, he's a football player. He will do
Yes.
whatever you ask him to do. He will go line up wherever you want him to line up, and he is going to be awesome. But I have this philosophy that I go by every single year. Even if a talented running back is drafted, even if they're drafted high, the person who has already produced in the offense is going to get the first crack at it. That is usually the way that it goes. Because if the person in front of them already produced, especially if they cracked 1,000 yards or they got close, they're
Hmm.
gonna get the bulk of the carries at the beginning of the season. They could end up losing the job later on, but this is Tyrone Tracy's job to lose.
I agree with you,
Mm-hmm.
100%. I like me some Tyrone Tracy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I agree with that as well. For Tyrone Tracy, it's the I think they brought Cam Scatterbo in and see if did you fix your fumbling issues,
Mm-hmm.
because that's what plagued him last year. Like that's what made him people go, I'm not too high as I want to be. But like if he can get that fixed, we could just see Cam Scatterbo as a rotational guy, and you know we're talking about Tyrone Tracy being a higher pick next year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and plus, I'm not. I mean, I like Scalabo, but the thing that worries me is he played in the Big 12, who wasn't the best defense in the league either.
Mm-hmm.
So, what's it going to look like when he plays in the NFL when he's playing against with the big boys too
Well, I mean, he played against some big boys in the playoffs.
in the playoffs?
Like
Yes,
yeah,
yes,
he had a pretty
in
good
the playoffs,
run.
and
Mm-hmm.
that's where his stock went up was the playoff
Yeah,
game too.
exactly.
But
Yeah,
was that a one off, or is it going to be is that a look into what it could be? You know,
I think it sets a good baseline for him. Like I think that his performance on that big of a stage says that he should at least be functional in the NFL. I'm not gonna project him to be a superstar or anything like that, but usually it's like guys like that hang around the league for 7, 8, 9 years, going to different teams and contributing. Like Cam Scatterboo, I think is like juiced up Devin Singletary. Like he's
okay.
Devin Singletary, but a harder nosed runner. And Devin Singletary has been a pretty good, RB2 or a fill in wherever he's gone. So I think that by bringing in Scatterboo, you lose less juice when Tyrone Tracy isn't on the field, as opposed to when you have somebody else coming for him to get like 3 or 4 meaningless touches. Scatterboo could easily average like 8 to 10 touches a game, while Tyrone Tracy gets majority of the work, and then he gets some receiving work and pass catching work and stuff like that. But Scatterboo could get you a good, 15, 20 rushing yards a game. Yeah, a couple touches here and there.
And I never seen Devin Singletary run like that.
Or, of
Not
course,
in
yeah, no, no.
college.
That's why I said juiced up Singletary, because that dude Scatterboo got he got some serious juice.
Wait,
Yeah,
Devin Singletary had a tiny stint with the Texans. He may have had like a little stretch of like a couple 100-yard games,
Yeah.
right? I'm not
He,
making that up. I'm not
he was
making that
decent.
up. Well,
He was decent with Buffalo.
no one here wants to talk about Devin Singletary.
Devin
No.
Singletary.
All right, we're here to talk about Tyrone. And
Yes, sir.
are we gonna call Tyrone? I'd like to call Tyrone, and a lot of
Hmm.
people are gonna call Tyrone. About 51% of the fantasy football community is calling Tyrone. The other 49% are calling Cam
Cam Scatterboo.
Yeah.
Scatterboo.
Yeah.
All right, now here's the thing. One, we have a good body, kind of a good body of work in his rookie season. The other one, we don't have any body of work other than his collegiate career. Okay.
Hmm.
Tyrone Tracy, Dable is on record that he hasn't necessarily been used in the passing game as much as they would have liked. That we know. So we could very well see Tyrone being worked in, or at least that keeps him on the field for more opportunity.
Hmm.
But we can't ignore that they did draft a dude first day, first pick of day 3, practically. I still maintain if this was last year's draft, he is a higher capital running back drafted.
Yes.
And I believe I really do. Not now. This part's not on record, or nor have I heard anything along these lines that they kind of want to do a Thunder and Lightning again, like the Josh Jacobs, Brandon Jacobs, not the sniper Jacob, Brandon Jacobs, Ahmad Bradshaw days, Jim.
Yeah.
Mara wants to get back to that. As much as you think he's like a nice, quiet gentleman owner, doesn't really meddle, he kind of sort of does micromanage a little bit. Let's not screw around here. Mara wants that. More to be revealed. I do think it's Tyrone's job, first crack. And lastly, both their ADPs are in the 8th, 9th round. One's going in the 8th, and then a couple picks later, the other one's going, and that would be Scatabo. So,
82 and 97, respectively.
Yeah, you're drafting Tyrone Tracy, for the love of God, that late, with that
bottom of the 6th.
With that potential, that's not a bad pick, and I don't blame anybody at all for wanting to add him to the roster, whether he's your second running back on the roster, or maybe even your third at that point.
I have a question for you guys.
Yeah.
So now, if you were to try and project, right, who do you think would be the goal line back out of the two of them?
Scatterbo.
Yeah.
That's how I'm telling you.
Mm-hmm.
That's the other
goal line now. If it's like at the 10, I'd say Tracy because the Tracy, but the goal line, I say Scatterbo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree with that.
That's a big piece of the puzzle right there. I mean, like, so we're going to be counting on Tyrone, especially for half PPR, to get his scoring in all the other facets of fantasy football scoring, where Cam Scatterbo's got all the touchdown equity potentially. That's what makes it does make this debate fascinating. Again, I think whether you're in that 51% bucket or the other Cam Scatterbo camp, at that price, I can't fault either one of the selections. Who's next?
Go GX.
You want to go?
Yeah.
Okay.
Go for it. Mm-hmm.
My guy, one of my guys I can't get enough of. I can't get enough of Khalil Shakir.
Ooh.
I can't.
Solid.
Fresh off of that contract extension. I believe that he's going to ascend to Josh's number one target. I expected it to be somebody else, Dalton Kincaid, but he just keeps disappointing me every week. So I'm shifting over. No, one of the only wide receivers with 100+ targets to not see any other immediate competition. So they didn't draft anybody, they didn't pick anybody up in free agency. And I don't think Keon Coleman's ever really going to be like that volume type of guy. He's just a straight big play kind of guy. So, it's all there for Khalil Shakir to kind of go to the next level. One thing I do expect him to hit his first 1,000-yard season. I expect him to increase his yards per route, which was 10.8, which the previous 2 years were 15.7 and 16.1. So I need him to get back to being that explosive guy. And along with the volume, he could end up having a really big year.
Yeah, the Titans and Buffalo cannibalize each other. I hate drafting either one of them. Like, until one of them is moved, they're both pretty much the same player. They cancel each other out.
Yeah, they do. It's annoying. I lost the game last year because freaking Dawson Knox got the touchdown and Dalton Kincaid was right there in front of him. They do it. Anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But listen, we're off the Kincaid bandwagon. There's a difference.
Yeah. And
doesn't like a little tight end by committee team.
Nah, not when you can only start one. When you can only start one, I don't want both of those guys.
We're gonna talk about another one a little bit later. Stay tuned, folks, and don't forget, goats. Please give us a like and subscribe to the channel. We got content coming all all through this off season, right into the season. Let's go.
We're getting closer.
Yeah.
I do agree with all of the points that JX was making. I do think that this is the year where Shakir starts, getting. I mean, he already had the full trust of, the OC. He already had Josh Allen had so much faith in him. I think he dropped like two passes last year or something like that. Like it was like some ridiculous percentage. Like he catches everything.
Hmm.
So like I think that this is the year. I agree with JX where he takes that jump, where he becomes the guy. And historically, Josh Allen has adored his slot receivers. His slot receivers get Cole Beasley.
Yeah.
Uh, uh, um, what's his name? The guy that Isaiah McKenzie. Like he's loved peppering all of his slot receivers. So yeah, I expect a big year from Shakir.
And what's even crazier is, so like I said, he didn't have as many targets as Jamar Chase did. So he
Hmm.
didn't have as many opportunities. But even through it all, he was right there in yak to
Hmm.
Jamar Chase. He finished second in the NFL in yak to Jamar Chase, but he was right there.
Hmm. It's that low center of gravity, man.
He's their
He, he breaks so many tackles like that.
I would say he's their de facto wide receiver one. Although
Yeah.
we know that Josh Allen's going to want to distribute the ball all over the place. He's going to want to hit the open man. Khalil Shakir does give them the yards after the catch. He is their speedster. He's their de facto number one wide receiver. And again, much like Tyrone and Cam Scatterbo from our previous conversation, yeah, Khalil Shakir is still going towards round 10. I mean, like it's not a bad pick. It's a good. It's not a
Can't
bad
be.
pick for your third wide receiver. It's not a bad pick
Hmm.
if it's your bench player. It's an even better pick if he's your bench player.
Hmm.
All right, yeah, I love it. Who's next? Rhino.
Mine. I'll just go. I'll go with a rookie, Mr. Tre Harris. I can't get enough of Tre Harris. And
Mm.
I can't stop drafting him.
It's
I'll
true.
add,
Hmm.
I'll add this too. If I can
It's
get,
certainly true.
if I can get Herbert and then Tre Harris come back around, I'm going to stack him.
Good
But
stack.
I can't get enough of Tre Harris. I just like his upside. Um, Lad's going to take pressure off of him. He's an he's an exquisite route runner. He's got height. He's got speed. He's that's who I can't stop drafting.
He's got ADP.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
He's definitely got some. He has value there. The only again, I don't know. Let me ask you guys something, including obviously the commissioner himself. Is anybody just a tad bit nervous that they do kind of revert to this more focused running attack that they wanted to do last season? They kind of got away from that. They kind of became like this passing juggernaut. Does anyone think that maybe, just maybe, they return to running the ball even more?
No, I
Uh,
don't think so. Just I don't think so. It's because of what has been. And maybe it's just coach speak too. But Harbaugh has made a point a couple of times saying that he wants to make sure that Herbert is in the
Hall of
MVP
Fame.
the Hall of
conversation.
Fame. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that
So
doesn't but that doesn't necessarily mean though that there'll be increased passing
they're going.
volume.
They're
he
not.
what?
If it drops off a little, it's not going to be. They're going to be throwing the ball.
He wakes up with nightmares that he has to get Justin Herbert into the Hall.
Right.
He's a nut. Yeah.
I am actually on the opposite end of that, and I understand what Sieg is saying, where it's like, not only do they have one capable running back, now they have two. So I think that what they're going to want to do is play strong defense. They're going to run the ball a ton, and they're going to use Justin Herbert in passing situations and play action, chunk plays. And I think that Justin will be more efficient this year, but I don't know that the target distribution will trickle down to Tre Harris,
It's going
especially
to
right
trickle down
away.
somewhere. So it's going. Where's it going to go
Well,
to?
well, they
Mike
brought
Williams?
back Mike Williams. Yeah, Mike
Okay.
Williams is Mike Williams is an ex receiver, and him and Tre Harris are essentially going to play the same position. Lad McConkey is going to get his 100 plus targets. They're going to give what's his name?
That's
the
what
the
you
the,
think. What you
the
think and
tight
what might
end.
happen, we don't know.
Well, I
So
mean
even,
that's what
even if
they.
it's, even if it's like he gets 100 targets, even if Tre Harris gets 75 catches, you know,
75 catches is lofty for
okay,
a rookie.
okay, I'm just throwing out numbers.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I hear you.
Let's say he goes 65 catches for 750 yards and 8 touchdowns.
Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah,
Pretty much. That's pretty much
yeah.
Marvin Harrison
Yeah.
Jr.'s
Yeah,
Marvin Harrison
for the
Jr. Huh?
season.
yeah, but if you're projecting that though, that means that Trey Harris has got to get at least 100 targets.
And he
He's gonna
could.
have to. I
Well,
don't
yeah, why does
know.
he have to
Yeah.
get 100? Why does he have to
And
equal out
and the only reason,
that? Why can't it be 75 targets and catches 65 of them?
because
You know?
that's not feasible. Yeah, that's
Why?
not feasible for
Why?
for him to
Because
catch
analytics says
90%.
so?
For
That
him
would
to catch
be
well, no, because
I'm just
math
saying
says so.
you can't say this person
A
takes this many
90%
targets
catch
and catches the
rate as a
ball.
rookie is
You can't.
insane.
You
I
can't.
got forget about that for a second. I got something that's much more practical that would interrupt that number. His name is Quentin Johnson.
Okay.
Right.
We're missing a wide receiver on the team
Exactly.
who's entering his third season. May,
Contract year.
I think that would maybe cut into the Tre
Who was
Harris usage.
who,
May.
who was drafted with the prior regime?
True. Very true.
Yeah.
So
hmm
they spent what was Tre Harris was a second round draft pick. So he's got capital. If they didn't want to use him, they wouldn't have drafted him that high.
No, it's not that they don't want to use him. Of course, they want to use him. They want to get him involved. But it's going to be very hard to see him getting the type of targets that would warrant him getting like 75 catches or like 60 something catches, unless something happened to somebody in front of him. So it's not saying that like it's impossible for it to happen, but like as of today, July 1st, 2025, it's difficult to see him getting to that point. But that could change. We still got a
But
few
yeah,
months.
yeah, that's just how
Yeah.
that's the beauty of okay, that's the beauty of this show right here is because
Right.
we can see two different things. You
Right.
know,
Exactly.
I
Yeah.
see it. I just because I love the kid.
Oh,
I love
I
the
love
kid.
him too.
About the offense. I don't
hmm
like Greg Roman too much, but I do like Justin Herbert. You
But that's
know,
another roadblock too. Greg Roman. That's
Again,
another. That's a huge roadblock.
so
yeah.
right, so I'll just circle right back to my question 3 minutes ago. Are we perhaps overlooking that they may in fact get back to a little bit more of a running attack, more hyper focused on the ground game, where the passing attack is a byproduct of running the ball and being that effective on the
Well,
ground
and if
and
they
then
yeah,
getting their guys open in the
so if
air.
they do, then they're gonna be stacked up boxes, and then we start throwing the ball.
Absolutely, that's
You
Yeah.
know,
that's exactly what they would want.
Right.
it's gonna be a nice mix. It could be 60%
Because
passing, 40% rushing. You know,
because because again they brought in a a pretty good running back in Najee Harris, and they
right?
drafted a high capital prospect in a Marion
Yeah.
Hamptons.
hmm
And I think that those two are going to be used a lot.
Thunder and lightning.
How much room will there be in the passing attack? Now, the good news for Trey Harris, all he has to do is catch the ball because we
Yeah.
know
And he
because we
catches
know
better than Quentin Johnson
because
does.
we know that Quentin Johnson has a problem doing that. So now, yeah,
Uh,
the pressure is, in my mind, the pressure is on Quentin Johnson,
hmm
just like we do with the running backs, just like we just did with Tracy and Scatabo. I think Quentin Johnson will still get the first crack. He's more seasoned.
hmm
He is
And
more
and
seasoned.
and Rhino. I am actually willing to bet that in 2026, Trey Harris, his ADP will get cut in half. I think he's that good of a player. I think he will get that kind of opportunity in this offense. Year two, I think he will be a prime, like a really great pick.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
I
mean,
agree.
I mean, I think we all love Trey Harris. He if he didn't get hurt, he's a first round pick
Oh,
easily.
absolutely. By a mile,
Um,
yeah.
I look at Trey Harris as a second half of the season just breakout
Okay.
demon, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I look at him more of as a playoff winner. Like he's a
Okay.
legitimate league winner because he's going to play great down the stretch for the Chargers.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'll buy all that.
Yeah, I'm cool with that. Yeah,
Well
and
said,
where you're getting him right
Dad.
now, 143 is pretty nice.
But
Yeah.
so you would agree you are drafting him, correct?
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. As a late round flyer, absolutely.
You have a draft tomorrow, let's just say.
Right.
And Tre Harris is right there for the taking, round 11, round 10.
Something like that. Yeah. Round
JX,
11, round 10. Hmm.
JX, Tre Harris.
So I'm gonna say
Dig it up.
no. I'm gonna say no, but there's a
Hmm.
reason why.
Yeah.
I'm saying no because about week 6 or 7, someone's gonna go, "Oh my God, I'm tired of this dude. I'm just getting rid of him."
True.
And I'll trade for him for nothing.
True. Yeah. Or pick him up on the wire when the person decides to drop him for whatever
Exactly.
hot waiver
Or
wire
the
pickup there
wire
is.
wait. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I'm doing.
Smart.
I can't argue with that. I cannot argue with that. I can understand Rhino again, knowing the league,
Hmm.
knowing like how he's going to, play around with his roster. I can understand why you would add Tre Harris. I'm more in the camp right there with JX. Everybody's different. We are in agreement that we're buying the talent.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yes.
Sure.
Yes.
We're just now laying out some of the other factors that may cause you to consider.
Yeah, he's not like I have on the draft we just did. I got Puka, St. Brown, and Pickens.
Nice.
So those would be my three. They'll be my starting three right there, and then move Tre Harris in when is needed.
Or you're that guy that JX was referring to, waiting around to
Oh, yeah.
add him because you
No.
had to. Because I don't know. I'm not like look.
And
If it's going by now week 6, week 7, and you see that he's on the field only like 30% of the time, and you have to get somebody in your starting lineup because it's a bye problem, you just may have to.
I don't know.
Mhm.
I'll tell you why.
Here's
I'll tell you
gonna-
why.
this-
I'll tell you why I might not, because Justin Jefferson's first year, nobody drafted him. I picked him up on waivers. He didn't do crap for the first 5 or 6 weeks, and then I dropped him.
Yeah,
I dropped him.
Yeah, but
exactly.
it,
and that's
And
what I'm saying, though.
then he went off for like
All I'm
120.
saying.
He went off for like 125 yards the next game. It's like,
So
Mhm.
you're scarred. You
Yeah.
scarred?
it's yeah.
I'm scarred.
It's hard to predict that.
Yeah, there's guys you physically draft, and there's guys you mentally draft. Tre Harris is a mental draft guy. You're like, oh, I need to keep mental notes on him, where he goes, who's drafting
True.
him, how's the target share going, because when he's at his lowest point, when he's ready to be dropped, I'm gonna pick him up and put him in my pocket.
Yeah.
But some people can't think mentally like that.
That's why some people win leagues. And some people don't.
See,
Pretty much.
I do have a belt in the background out there, so I have been known to win a few championships
right.
here and there.
That's right.
But yeah, love the talent, love the situation.
Sniper was doing the snipe festing. You weren't getting sniped. You were the one doing the sniping. All right. So like, there's been 2 dudes. Okay, they both fall into the rookie classification.
Yep.
So, but it just seems to be a common theme of both of my redrafts so far this season. Okay, I'm getting a rookie in the late 5th, early 6th round. Last draft
Mhm.
was Q.Judkins. Over the weekend, it was K.Johnson, and I couldn't be happier. I'm like a pig, and you know
Kid's
what?
nice.
Those are my dudes. These are the
Mhm.
dudes that I want. And why? Why? Because K.Johnson could hit a home run, and Q.Judkins speaks well. No, that's not why. It's their situation. Quinshon
Hmm.
Judkins is going to start for the Browns, and we know they're gonna want to run the ball. We know it.
That's true.
They have Sampson that's going to play in on third down and maybe get some other usage. Of course he will, but Quinshon Judkins is the designated starter going in, and that's it. Case closed. Now, Caleb Johnson. This is a little bit of a different situation.
Hmm.
Um, I factor him to be the second down running back, and then we're going to have to see the more veteran, the Jalen Warrens of the world, be in there to protect Rodgers. Am I worried about Jalen Warren being more productive than Caleb Mother effing Johnson? No, I'm not worried about Jalen Warren. I've seen Jalen Warren now since 2022. Or 2023, rather, JX. Which one? I think it's 23. 23, 22.
2022.
Let's see,
Are you
22.
sure it's 22?
I think so.
You might be
Hold
right.
on.
Regardless,
Long enough. Long enough.
Yeah, right. We've seen enough.
I've
Yeah.
seen enough to know what type of running back he is. Exactly. He's good, competent running back. He's not a dude that could take on 20 plus touches for
Hmm.
your football team.
Yeah, 22, 23, 3 years.
He's gonna be very good for Caleb Johnson in
Hmm.
terms of working with him. He's going to be they'll be a very good tandem. I expect
Hmm.
Caleb Johnson to hit home runs for Aaron Rodgers. And lastly,
Goal line, goal line back.
goal line back. Yes. If we think that
Yeah.
the old man still has it, and the Steelers somehow are able to get to the other side of the football field this year, Caleb Johnson should benefit from that. He stands to get some good easy layups from the
Hmm.
3, from the 5. Jalen
Yeah.
Warren again. I see him being much more effective in that middle of the field. It's third down. Rodgers is dropped back like into like the shotgun or the pistol, whatever you want to call it.
2 minute drills.
Max protection
Situational.
in for him, and yeah,
Hmm.
Jalen Warren's going to be in. So
Hmm.
let's make no mistakes about it. I think Judkins Rhino has the opportunity to kind of morph into more of a Chubb. Nick Chubb didn't come off the field for nobody. Man,
Hmm.
Jerome Ford a little bit these last few years, but
Mhm.
still, when Nick Chubb is healthy, no one Nick Chubb played 3 downs. I think Judkins has that opportunity. He does. Caleb Johnson, little bit of a different story. Nevertheless, goats. Both these rookies are right here in this mid round.
Yeah.
They're
Does
late fifth into the sixth, depending on where you're selecting. You're going to get one of them as your RB2, and you should be very happy. I know I am.
does Quinshon Judkins backup concern you?
Which backup?
Um, man, I keep forgetting
Dylan
this guy's
Sampson.
name. Dylan Sampson. There you go. Yeah, does Dylan Sampson concern you at all? Because Dylan Sampson is a pretty solid. He's a pretty solid prospect.
Yeah.
He's a good prospect. He doesn't have the draft capital that Judkins does,
At
and
all. Hmm.
we already have the coach speak. And
Hmm.
they're going to look to get Sampson in on third down. They're going to look to get him some opportunities to play on early down. But it's Judkins to roll. Well,
Yeah.
Sampson again. I think they drafted Sampson specifically with this in mind.